Hi friends. Today our topic is bridge. In this chapter we will discuss what is bridge mode in Sophos XG Firewall. Secondly, about bridging interfaces. Thirdly, how to configure bridge in Sophos XG Firewall. Then, L2 bridge and L3 bridge. Let's start our journey. Two or more interfaces can be combined into a transparent subnet gateway using a bridge interface. For example, in a small organization, we have two departments. One is the sales department and another is the account department. Each department has two users. Each department has its own unmanaged switch through which users are connected. As a network administrator, you were asked to bridge the two interfaces of the switch together so that both departments behave like one single network. In this example, switch 1 is connected to port C of the firewall. In the same way, switch 2 is connected to port D of the firewall. Here we have to connect two different physical ports, which are ports C and D, into a single logical port. That is nothing but the bridge interface. Here, logical ports mean imaginary ports, which is created by using Sophos firewall mechanism. By using this mechanism, we can implement a transparent subnet gateway. The IP address of the bridge interface is 192.168.0.2. Here, a transparent subnet gateway means two different networks separated by an external router. The most important benefit of the Sophos firewall is that we can use it in mixed mode. In this case, the Sophos firewall behaves like a bridge and route mode simultaneously. Both modes can be implemented on a single device. There is no difference between virtual and hardware appliances in Sophos firewalls for configuring bridge interfaces. In both cases, the configuration is same. In this example, we have three separate zones. The first one is the LAN zone, the second one is the DMZ zone, and the third one is the WAN zone. We have already created one bridge interface in the LAN zone by adding together two physical ports, which are ports C and D. Port C is connected to the account department switch, and port D is connected to the sales department switch. The IP address of the bridge interface is 192.168.0.2. In this scenario, we also have one DMZ zone. In this zone, we have two publicly accessible servers, S1 and S2 respectively. DMZ zone is connected to the Sophos firewall through port E. And port B is connected to the ISP through a router. Here, port E and port B are combined together to create a new bridge interface. The new bridge interface uses one public IP address, that is 116.119.32.3. An external router is used as a gateway by the DMZ zone. So the servers that come under the DMZ zone use the IP address 116.119.32.2 as their gateway IP. Here, servers are accessed over the internet by using the public IP address. Those servers have the same subnet as the external router. In this way, the Sophos firewall acts as a transparent subnet gateway. On the other hand, the LAN zone uses a firewall as its gateway. These are the basic working principles of bridge interfaces in the Sophos XG firewall. That is how it works. So far, we have only learned about the theoretical part of bridge interface. But till now, we haven't implemented it in a real-life scenario. It strongly recommends that, as a beginner, do not experiment with it on a live firewall. Before making any changes to the live firewall, keep a backup copy of the firewall. Or you may check it by using PNet Lab, then make changes to the live firewall. Let's start our practical session. Suppose in an organization there are two departments. One is the HR department and another is the IT department. Each department has two computers. Now let's add the computers. Each department has its own switch, through which they are connected to the Sophos firewall. Now add switches to our lab. Here, I am taking the L2 switch. Each switch has 4 ports. Connect one Ethernet port of the switch to port C of the firewall, and another to ports of the switch to the two different computers. In the same way, connect another switch. One Ethernet port is connected to port D of the firewall, and the other two ports are connected to the two computers. This is the actual network in an organization, in which all the nodes are connected to the firewall through switches. Let's start configuring the firewall according to this. Step 1. Power on all the devices. Here, I have connected one computer to port A of the firewall to configure it. Step 2. By using a remote desktop connection, I have taken this PC remotely. That is connected to port A of the firewall. Open any browser and type the URL 172.16.16.16:4 times 4. Type a username and password to log in to the Sophos firewall. Here, we will have to create two different zones as per our network diagram in the Sophos firewall. For that, under Configuration, go to Network and click on Zones. Click on Add. Name IT Zone. Description: IT Department. Type: LAN. Here, I am enabling HTTPS and SSH as well. Also, I am enabling the captive portal here. Then DNS and ping. And web proxy. After that, save the configuration. Here, one zone is created and named IT Zone. The member column is empty in the IT Zone row, because currently, no port has been assigned to it. The type is LAN, and these are the services enabled in this zone. The next one is our HR zone. Similarly, create another zone and name it HR zone. HR zone has been created. Member column is empty. The type is LAN, and these are the services enabled in this zone. The creation of zones has been completed successfully. The next step is to assign ports to the different zones that were created. For that, go to Interfaces. Look at our network diagram. In this zone, computers are connected to the firewall port D through a switch. Let's start configuring this on the firewall. Click on Edit Interfaces. Select the network zone as IT zone. Configure IPv4 or IPv6. Here, I am choosing IPv4. Give the IP address as per our diagram. And subnet mask too. I have not changed anything here. Then, save it. In a very similar way, assign a port to the HR zone. HR zone computers are connected to the firewall port C through a switch. Here, select the network zone as HR zone. Let's assign an IP address to this port. Here, the interface type port C. Status is connected. Interface type port D status is also connected. These two ports are working properly. After that, let's start assigning IP addresses to different computers in different zones. Here I am taking PC1 remotely by using Ultra VNC. For that, single click on the computer, click on Open Ultra VNC. In a similar way, I am taking PC2 remotely. This one is the IP address and subnet mask of PC2. Let's assign these addresses to PC2. This one is our gateway address for the devices that come under the HR department. I am using preferred DNS as 8.8.8.8. Configuring IP addresses for PC1. Follow the same procedure to configure the IP addresses on the PCs that come under the IT zone. Now let us consider that this is our existing network that we were configuring. Now, as an administrator, you are asked to bridge two interfaces together so that both networks behave as one single network. How do you configure this in the Sophos XG firewall? Let's try to complete this task. Log in to the XG firewall by giving the correct credentials. Under the configuration section, go to the network. Click on Add Interfaces, then click on Add Bridge. Give a name. Fill up the hardware row. Write a description in the description box. Now does not enable routing on this bridge pair. Under the Member Interface section, add members. Select Interface Type, Port C, and Zone, HR Zone. Then Port D and Zone, IT Zone. I am using IPv4. So here I am enabling IPv4. Similarly, I am using a static IP address. So here I am choosing static. I am using the static IP address 192.168.10.1 and the net mask 255.255.255.0. I am not changing anything here and saving the configuration. This is my new bridge interface. Port C and Port D are the members of the new interface. In the firewall, we have already created a bridge interface. So, we'll make a few adjustments to the network we already have. Always keep in mind that we united port C and port D into one single logical interface, the bridge interface, by combining the two physical interfaces. Also, we have assigned a new IP address to the bridge interface in the firewall, which is 192.168.10.1 and netmask to 55.255.255.0. Thus, we must modify the IP address assigned to our entire network. We will provide PC1 with the following IP address, netmask, and gateway 192.168.0.2, 255.255.255.0, and 192.168.10.1. IP address 192.168.10.3, netmask 255.255.255.0, and gateway 192.168.10.1 will be used for PC2. We will use 192.168.10.4, netmask 255.255.255.0, and gateway 192.168.10.1 for PCA in a very similar manner. PCC will be given the IP address 192.168.10.5, a netmask of 255.255.255.0, and a gateway address of 192.168.10.1. Never forget that what we are doing in this lab is also exactly same we would perform in a real-world physical network. Let's begin giving each PC a unique IP address. Try pinging PC 1 to PCA now. Ping is not working because this bridge pair's routing is not enabled. We are also not enabling firewall rules between these two bridge members IT and HR. Here, I am enabling the routing on this bridge pair and updating the bridge pair. Now this is L3 bridge pair. Here, I am going to create some rules for IT and HR so that they can communicate with each other. Click on Rules and Policies to access that. Then, under Add Firewall Rule, create a new firewall rule. Give here a meaningful name. In the description box, write something for easy understanding. I am selecting the rule position top. Then, Action Accept. Rule Group None. Give a tick mark on Log Firewall Traffic. I am selecting the HR zone in the source zone and IT in the destination zone. That means traffic will originate from the HR zone and go to the IT zone. For bidirectional traffic, select the source zone as IT and the destination zone as HR. That is, traffic originates from the IT zone and goes to the HR zone. Source network and devices, any. During scheduled time, any time. Destination network, any, and services, any. I am not changing anything here. We have a separate video for firewall rules and policies. Then save the setting. This one is our newly created rules. Let's ping PC2 from PCA. We are getting reply from PC2. Similarly, I am trying to ping to PCA from PC2. I am getting reply from PCA. Our traffic movements in and out have been recorded here. IT and HR have established communication and vice versa. We can also inspect it using Log Viewer. Yes, we get it. Firewall Rule ID 6 is working for this policies. Rule name is HR_IT. Traffic is originated from port C and goes to port D. In this case, port D is the source of the traffic and port C is its destination. The source and destination IP addresses are given here. Let's try to access google.com from any PC. We are unable to get it. Create firewall policies so that the IT and HR departments can access the internet. Let us start. Add a new rule to the Add Firewall Rule section. Rule name, Internet Zone. Description, for HR and IT. Rule position, top. Action, accept. Give a tick mark on log traffic and rule group, none. Select source zone as HR zone and IT zone. Destination zone as WAN zone. Source network and devices, any. During scheduled time, all the time. Choose destination network, any, and services, any. Save it. Let's examine the connectivity to the internet. Yes, we get it. Keep in mind each of these. Thank you. Enjoy your day.